I went to Rich Melman, the founder of Lettuce, and said, I want to take over Wow Bao. And it was interesting. He told me, yes, you can have it, but I wouldn't do it. About 2 months after I took it over, I was like, wow, the financials of this concept really isn't where it should be. He's like, should have asked to look at the financials before he said you wanted the concept. And within less than a year, I had self-ordering kiosks in all the restaurants. We had desktop ordering, which in 2010, go backwards, no one did this. We had an app in the App Store. There were only 300,000 apps at the time, and we were one of them. We had a location at an airport in DC. It was 150 square feet, doing $3 million a year at its high point.
Wow.
Wow Bao. See, you know the name.
Today's guest is Geoff Alexander, the CEO of Wow Bao, a fast casual brand that looks absolutely nothing like one. What started as a small restaurant concept in Chicago is now a national food business spanning airports, vending machines, ghost kitchens, and over 15,000 grocery store freezers. But this is not a story about scale. It's a story about reinvention. Geoff took over Wow Bao when it was losing money and out of momentum. He had no capital, no playbook, and no margin for error. Just a belief that if you have great food, if people could try it, you would win. What followed was a series of creative experiments, driving Bao to hospitals in a hotbox van, building food trucks before the city allowed them, testing tech before anyone was asking for it. In this conversation, we talk about the pain and power of being early, what it means to partner with startups before their products work, to put kiosks in your stores before the customers even know how to use them, and to launch channels before the industry even has a name for them. We explore his philosophy on innovation, trust, and why the best restaurant technologies are the ones that bring back hospitality, not replace it. This is a conversation about leadership, about staying curious, about building something lasting in an industry that changes by the hour. But before we dive in, a special thanks to our sponsor, ClearCOGS. ClearCOGS is a leading provider of demand forecasting for the restaurant industry, because at ClearCOGS, we believe that a path to greater profits is always clearer when you know what's ahead. And if you're loving this conversation, please like and subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. It means the world to us. And with that, I give you my conversation with Geoff Alexander. All right, I just want you to walk me through what Wow Bao is, because I see stores, I see it in the grocery store, it's everywhere. What is Wow Bao as a brand?
So first off, thank you, but it's not everywhere. We need it to be in a lot more places, but I appreciate that you feel that way. Wow Bao is a quick serve, fast casual Asian restaurant brand that is morphing into everyday Asian eats reimagined. And what I mean by that is we started off doing restaurants. We did a handful of them here in Chicago. We've also done airport locations around the country, sports stadiums, college campuses, corporate dining. We grew it to have hot food vending machines. We have about 500 of those out there in the wild right now. We started selling our product to other restaurants for them to sell in third-party delivery apps before the term ghost kitchen came around, but now everyone thinks of it as a ghost kitchen. So we've done over 1,000 of those in the previous 5 years. And now we're heavily involved in grocery. We're in close to about 15,000 grocery stores with our frozen retail product. And now we're going to start investigating food service and selling food to other operators or to travel, military, penitentiary, hospitality, travel, leisure type environments where they can use the item either white labeled or branded.
All right, so that's kind of the answer I would expect from some CEO that came from outside of the restaurant industry that said, we're going to be omnipresent through all these channels and we're going to go, build out these distribution mechanisms. But you're not some CEO they brought in. You came from the restaurant industry, right?
I've been a partner with Lettuce Entertain You. I've been a partner with Lettuce since 2006. I joined Lettuce in 1993, 9 days out of college.
So how'd you end up at Wow Bao?
So Lettuce created Wow Bao in 2003. I'd worked on 8 or 10 or 12 different concepts with Lettuce from 93 to 2008. And I was basically in between brands. And Wow Bao had gone through two partners running the concept. And one of the chef partner who I'd worked with previously came to me and said, look, I need an operator to run this. We're without an operating partner. You should take this. We're going to grow this thing to thousands of units. It's going to be the biggest things Lettuce ever done.
How big was it at the time?
3 stores.
Okay, so 3 stores.
Maybe,
It's going to be the biggest thing we've done. We're going 3 to thousands.
It was 3 stores, maybe doing 4.5 million a year in top line sales between the three, and maybe 5 million. And I didn't know what Wow Bao was, and I was in between projects, so I said sure. I went to Rich Melman, the founder of Lettuce, and said I want to take over Wow Bao. And it was interesting. He told me, yes, you can have it, but I wouldn't do it.
Why?
So I never asked him why. But in hindsight, when the founder of the company, tells you he doesn't think you should do something, maybe you should reconsider it. And then I went to the CEO of the time, Kevin Brown, who founded Wow Bao, and told him I wanted to take it over. He's like, it's all yours. About 2 months after I took it over, I went to Kevin. I was like, wow, the financials of this concept really isn't where it should be. He's like, should have asked to look at the financials before he said you wanted the concept. And with Rich and I had worked on 2 concepts prior to me taking over Wow Bao. And then Lettuce really had a real big surge of growth, a number of different concepts, very well known, very high volume, multi-unit restaurants opened. And I always wondered if I had not volunteered for Wow Bao, if I would have been running those brands or not. I'll never know. But fast forward, took it over in 2009, January 1st. And within less than a year, I had self-ordering kiosks in all the restaurants. We had desktop ordering, which in 2010, go backwards, no one did this. We had an app in the App Store. There were only 300,000 apps at the time, and we were one of them. So we just got heavily involved in technology and did a lot. And then under my guidance, we opened more restaurants. We became the first lettuce brand to ever open in an airport. We became the first lettuce brand to work with Sodexo and get on college campuses. And then in 2017, I got private equity involved, and they took a majority stake. Lettuce is still involved. I'm still a partner with Lettuce, but now we operate as our own entity and have our own destination. And I have a whole team and our own office, and we're growing on our own.
Well, take me back. So I think that's a story that most restaurant operators can empathize with. You take over a restaurant, you think this is going to be great, and then you go look at the financials, and you're like, "Oh shit, this is a problem." Like, what were the problems, and like, how did you get it from point A to point B?
Well, what I was very fortunate, and I don't know if it's fortunate or curse, but a lot of the brands I worked with prior to Wow Bao struggled. And I got handpicked by both Kevin Brown and Rich Melman to go into struggling concepts and help turn them around.
You're the turnaround guy.
Yeah, and being a turnaround guy is not glamorous. It's long hours, it's hard work. Everybody's mad at you because you're doing things differently than what they want. And you can only turn it around so much, right? You can bring it from losing money to making money, but you're never going to lose money to making a fortune, right? But it's for the better of the company. And if you listen to anybody who's successful, they always talk about how much they learned from the failures. Well, when you're taking over a concept that's failing, you learn a lot. Luckily for me, no concept I've ever had to correct is something I failed at. It was always, I cleaned up someone else's problem and made it my own problem. But what happened was that I learned a number of things. I learned, number one, never to give up. I really learned how to become an entrepreneur, meaning, what has to be done here? How do you do it? And what I've learned is if you have a great product, the only reason why you're not succeeding is people haven't tried the product. So now you have to find ways to get food to them, right? And that's whether you're doing, you're giving food away at events in your community, you're being part of the community, right? You're literally touching every table, or you're introducing something new to people. Like, you have to get the food to them. And which is interesting right now, as we're in close to 15,000 grocery stores, and I don't know the grocery business, right? I have great people on my team who come from it, but we're down an aisle, a frozen aisle that a lot of people don't go to, especially in the summertime, behind a door that's always fogged up, right? And I can't sample. right? If you're in 15,000 groceries, you can't set up a sampling for the day. And which grocery store do you go sample? If I was Red Bull, I could drive around to every city in the US and just give away food, but our food is frozen. So I can't walk around the microwave on my back and saying, here, try this. So I'm actually going through the biggest struggle today that I've had with solving a problem that I've always been able to solve in the past when I've had a brick and mortar store.
Well, you guys do have brick and mortar stores, correct?
We have 2 brick and mortar here in Chicago. We have I think it's 5 airport locations. We have about 6 college campuses, and we have about 300 and some odd delivery only kitchens still active today.
I mean, at this point, do you even view yourself as a restaurant brand, or do you view yourself as a food brand?
It's funny, depending on who you are on our team, that answers the question, right? I always will consider myself a restaurant guy. I consider myself a restaurant guy who's in the grocery business. A lot of my team sees us as a grocery brand who has restaurants, right? So it depends on it. But what's great about the restaurants are we can test out a new flavor tomorrow, and I can get it out to call it 400 locations overnight and get feedback on that. Does the flavor work? Do people enjoy it? And then that can help us decide if we should put that item into grocery. A lot of other groceries, most other groceries don't have that focus group available to them, right? I have like boundless amount of people that I can get to.
I imagine, though, that the product I serve at my restaurant, while it's the same kind of flavor profile, being able to recreate that experience as a frozen food or in a vending machine, that's got to be difficult. It's not just I'm going to make the exact same bao and give it out in the vending machine.
It is the exact same product. We box it differently. It's the exact same product that's in our restaurants, it's in our airports, it's on college campuses, it's in hot food vending, that's in grocery stores. The exact same product.
Is that hard to do? Because I think of all the additives and things that go into frozen foods.
Everything is exactly the same product. It's a chef-inspired recipe that is, we have tricked the manufacturing to make it chef-inspired, right? Not to, we use fresh vegetables. We're not using frozen vegetables. We're hand peeling ginger in our plants. So we do it all from a chef inspired way. The only difference I would say is in our restaurants, we always steam. Those who buy in a grocery, I would say most are probably microwaving it. So it comes back and what we always say is we need it to come back between 92 and 96% of what it tastes steamed. And if it's at least that good out of the microwave, we know we did it. And we are really confident that the flavor profile is almost the same as steam. We tell everyone it's steam, but it's okay with the microwave.
Take me back, right? So you come in, there's 3 brick and mortar locations, right? You're going to take it to 1,000 locations. And somehow along the way, you went down a different path and said, let's go CPG, let's go vending machines, let's go airports. That's not let us entertain you. I mean, they are restaurants through and through. What was that conversation like?
But no, here's what happened. So you take over a concept, or you have a concept that's losing money, right? You have a concept that is struggling to survive. When you have a concept that's struggling to survive, you have very limited resources, you have very limited access to capital, right? I had no access to capital. So when you don't have access to capital, how are you going to get through the day? That's what creates the entrepreneurial spirit, is finding ways to grow that don't cost you money. Getting into an airport is somebody else's dime, right? They're building it, they're running it. I got to supply support for it, but I get paid for the support. There's an upfront fee to turn on the airport. Then there's royalty that comes in. So I chased business that was different than what we did. I wanted to do delivery in Chicago. So before third-party delivery, which Wow Bao was the number 3 Chicago restaurant to go live on Uber Eats when it started here, right? We were the third restaurant in all of Chicago to turn on third-party delivery. But before that, I grew up in New York City. And in New York City, everybody that got Chinese food, it was delivered by bicycle. And in metropolitan high traffic, it's hard to do cars. So I wanted to do bicycle delivery. But when growing up in New York City, the big gag was if you didn't like somebody, you would call up the pizza place, order 20 pizzas delivered to somebody's house, and no one did credit cards. So the pizza would show up and the guy you were trying to punk got stuck paying for the pizza. I didn't want that to happen for us. So now I need to have bicycle delivery. I need to get the money up front. That led us to doing mobile ordering, desktop ordering. So we got involved with online ordering and delivery way before anybody else was doing it.
Well, and this goes back to the whole innovator's dilemma, right? You're maybe the first out there, but there's not a whole market for online delivery.
Absolutely not. No,
There's
there's
very few
nobody.
case studies.
There's nobody doing online. Nobody's in 2010, nobody was turning on their computer and ordering food.
So walk me through the thought process. You're like, okay, this is a free way for me to increase sales. It's going to take me some work,
First
but like,
of all, nothing is free. And by the way, I went through two different online ordering providers that each ended up going bankrupt at some point during my process. So you turn this whole thing on and then you lose it. And then you turn it on again and you lost it again. I mean, the world was different in 2010, but it was fun and it was exciting and it was a great way to learn what you were doing. I mean, back in the day, every orders used to come in from faxes and you'd rip the paper out of the fax machine and walk out of a POS and type it in. I mean, it was a different way that we did business. And we found a way to not only inject orders into our POS, but we found a way to get payment for it way before anyone else was doing it. It was all about how do I get food to people and how do I get more sales? That's what there was a company called Fuda. Fuda is now a national company. It's all over the place where they go into high rises. The high rise pays them and they show up with either a different restaurant every day who cooks on the scene and they take a percentage of it, or they have their own marketplace of X amount of restaurants and then they go and pick up the food and bring it to you. We were the first people to partner with Fuda in Chicago. And we would go every single day to some high rise. Monday through Friday, went to a different high rise every day and cooked in the high rise and fed and charged money to all the office people. We had 3 restaurants in 2010. And in 2009, when I took over the concept, and what happened was one of the stores would make all the sauces and we would drive it in my chef partner's truck to the other 2 restaurants, right? So it's like month 4 and he's like, I'm going on vacation for a week. You're going to have to drive everything in your car. And I'm like, there's no way I'm driving it in my car. Like, it's not going to happen. So I went out and bought a van. And, you know, we decaled it up and we branded it Wow Bao, and it sat in a garage for 23 hours a day. And in Chicago in 2010, you were not allowed to have food trucks. Food trucks weren't allowed until like 2015, give or take.
Talking pre-food truck time.
Maybe 2013. All we had were roach coaches, right? Which were these vans that would show up with pre-made sandwiches and coffee and sell it at construction sites because you weren't allowed to cook on trucks. So I took our van that sat around for 23 hours in a garage, cost me money every day, and put a hot box on it. And I would go to the restaurant in the morning and I would make 2-pack boxes of bao, load up the hot box. I would take a coffee urn and fill it with chicken broth. We had our own bone broth. This is before bone broth became a thing in 2016. We were selling bone broth in 2003. And then we would take pot stickers and put them in the boxes also with sauce. And we'd fill up the hot box and we'd drive to hospitals, college camp, right? University of Chicago, UIC, Rush Hospital, Northwestern, every day, 5 days a week, went to a different location. But Monday was this school, Tuesday was this hospital, Wednesday was this college, Thursday was this hospital. And we turned that into a business.
Interesting. So you were selling them. This isn't just
We were selling a box for $5. And we would go out with, 250 boxes every morning. The hot box would hold the food for 4 hours. We'd get there. We'd have a parking spot. People would walk up. We open the hot box. Give me $5. Here's your box. $5. Here's your box. And we ended up hiring 2 people, and it was their job to run the food truck. And I put that in quotes. And in 2013, we got written up by mobilefoodtrucks.com as one of the top 13 food trucks in America. It was a van with a hot box. But again, I found a way to grow money. And the other thing it did, it started to allow me to test different markets around the city of Chicago. Where were we seeing a lot of traffic? So then in 2014, I got lettuce to let me open up Wow Bao number 4.
Which since there's only 2 brick and mortars now, I'm taking it 4 wasn't the best, or is it still around?
We actually grew to 8 locations. And then remember, the concept started in 2003, right?
Yeah.
So, and now we're in 2025. And I say that for everyone who's watching this 5 years from now. But, you know, by 2020, 2 things happened. Leases started to expire and COVID happened, right?
Yeah.
So coming out of COVID, we still had 4 stores, but since 2020, those leases have expired. So we're down to 2 brick and mortar. But again, we're not in the brick and mortar business as much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you almost outgrew it. You got your
Exactly.
distribution to a point where you didn't need it.
However, our first store that we ever opened is still open 22 years later.
That's amazing.
I just want that to be. It's 384 square feet at a Water Tower place in Chicago.
You got to love the small square footage, just pumping it out.
Yeah, we had a location at an airport in DC that is no longer open anymore because, again, leases have expired. It was 150 square feet, doing $3 million a year at its high point.
Wow.
Wow Bao. See, you know the name.
Go back though, and you basically had we went to go do online delivery, right? You had 2 companies go out of business that you're working with. If there's ever a sign that I'm on the wrong path, like this is probably not for us, I would think the 2 companies that are doing it go out of business. What gave you the mental fortitude to push through and make this work?
They didn't go out of business because people weren't doing online ordering. They went out of business because, they didn't have funding, right? And now they didn't have funding because their backers didn't believe in them. Their burn rate. I mean, you come up with any excuse for it, right? But fast forward now, 15 years later, I mean, I think we can all agree that online ordering is not going anywhere.
Yeah, but what gave you the mental fortitude to get through it? Because I know if I showed up to my board and said, like, we tried this, we really like it, they went out of business. We tried it again, they went out of business. They'd be like, I don't think you should take a third swing at this.
Yeah, it was more about we were doing business. I mean, that's the thing. We had a business, right? I mean, we were getting delivery orders. We were getting people who were actually utilizing it. And it wasn't a big, I guess the risk to it was, you can look at the risk to it was we were going to lose customers by turning it off, right? Or you could look at they would find a way to buy it from us by coming to us. So it wasn't a big risk. It was more of a lift, right? It was frustration. It was recommunicating to those people, okay, don't use that bookmark on your computer anymore. Here's a new web address to go to, right? Or it looks different than it did before because of XYZ, right? I shouldn't say the one thing. I've learned a million things from Rich Melman, but one of the things he always drives home is when you take something away from somebody, you have to replace it with something better, right? For instance, if you're going to change your French fries and everyone loved your French fries, you're going to bring back a new French fry, but it has to be a better French fry. You can't take away the French fries and give them worse French fries, right? So when we lost our mobile ordering after, call it 9 months, and we had to replace it with a better one, I can't necessarily that online ordering was better because eventually they went out also, but I had to incentivize people why they should stick with us and why they shouldn't give up on it. Right. So we started, then we rolled into loyalty and we rolled into, if you do this many orders online, you get this. And if you order online versus ordering in the restaurant, we'll give you that. Right. Like there were things that we were able to do when we had our second online ordering. Asian food, Chinese restaurants are very famous for if you spend $10, you get free egg rolls, spend $20, you get fried rice, $30, you get whatever. Right. We were able to actually build that in. Because we went back to the new company, like, okay, if you want us to take a risk with you, like, you need to go figure this out. And one thing we've always had success with is by being early adopters, we help write the narrative, not the code, but what we want the technology to be able to do. And that's always given us a leg up because by the time somebody else comes on board and is doing what we're doing, we're like 7 steps ahead of them because we want it to be done this way. And by the way, anyone who comes on board then, they're in the box. Me, I created the box. I was able to get the technology to go do this also. You join tomorrow, well, that's as far as the box is going to take you.
To double click into that, I'd really like to know what are the benefits of being, an early adopter of technology, and what are the kind of cons if you are an early
Well, the
adopter?
cons are there's headaches, right? It's going to break. There's limited people who can fix it. And you're going to frustrate your team. You're going to frustrate yourself, and you're going to frustrate your consumers. That's the cons, right? Now, if you go into it knowing there's going to be headaches, then the headaches aren't that bad. You go into it knowing that technology is good for you, your employee, and your consumer, the headaches are not going to be bad. But the other thing about it, like I said, look, you go and turn on a POS today. This is what the POS can do. You go and find someone brand new who's coming to market with a POS. You can go to them and say, hey, if you want me to switch to your POS or buy your POS, I need it to do this, this, and this. Everybody's got a roadmap, right? Oh, we'll put it on a roadmap and we'll get to it. Like, you got to hold people accountable to the roadmap. You got to write it into your thing that you expect this and this. The other thing is, those companies know that you're willing to test things. So they'll come to you with their upgrades before it goes out to anyone else. I don't know if you know, like, you can sign up to become an Apple beta. I'm assuming you have an iPhone, right?
I'm on Apple beta.
I'm not an Apple beta, right? I had an IT guy who was an Apple beta, and he would get all the upgrades to the Mac, the iPhone, the iPad, like 5 months ahead of anyone, because Apple wanted the feedback of people using in the field, right? If you go in an early adopter of some kind of technology, that should be a partnership in the way of, hey, I'm going to give you feedback on your product. You're going to commit to making sure that you're going to do your best to either A, fix it to my needs, or fix it to the best of your ability. And here's why, because I'm going to make sure you're set up for success when you go sell to more people. Then in 4 months, when you come to me and say, hey, I have this great idea, what do you think? You can say, hey, I'm in, let me test it. Or be like, that's not something I really think you should focus on. I'd rather see it to go this way. And you're helping influence the opportunity of that technology.
Geoff, that all sounds great, but how much work is that? Are you talking about a couple emails a week and you're thinking about it a little bit here and there? Or is this something that, like, you're really spending hours with your team talking about?
No, it's a multifaceted question. Look, I'm not in the tech business, right? And here's the problem with restaurant technology. All restaurant technology is not made by restaurant people. So we have a square peg and you guys have a round hole, right? And the two never match up. But the goal is to get it to match as close as possible. So when you want to be early at technology, accept there's going to be headaches and go to that technology company and say, hey, I know there's going to be headaches for me. I'll take on the headache. My consumers will take on the headache. My employees will deal with the headache. But I'm telling you, when I come to you with feedback, you got to react. Now, in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of feedback. 2 months into it, might not be much feedback unless the technology company isn't staying on top of their promise of fixing things.
Do you think that technology that's built by restaurant people, I look at like Josh from Me's, ClearCOGS, there's a new wave of restaurant people that are, leading technology companies. Is there actually, do they build better technology? Do you have enough data points to even say?
I'm not gonna insult anybody, so please don't take it that way. But
I'm not pushing against it, right? I honestly don't know if restaurant people make better technology or
as
it's
soon
just a good
as you leave
soundbite.
the restaurant to get into the technology business, you're not in the restaurant business anymore. You're in the technology business, and you have to make the technology work. And for you to make the technology work, you are sacrificing the restaurant business. It's as simple as that. It might not be a big sacrifice, right? But very quickly, the technology has to work. And we all know that technology will work the way you want it to work, but it comes at a cost to somehow the way I have to do things. It could be as simple as I need 15 characters on my POS to make my item recognizable to the cook, and you're only going to give me 12 characters for whatever reason, right? And now I got to write chicken without vowels. Not the biggest thing in the world, right? But for people who have English is a second language, they learned it one way, it's hard. Or people who have English as the first language, but are like those OCD people who don't understand why it can't be done. It seems like a stupid thing to even talk about, but there has to be sacrifice on one of the sides. And the technology team is not going to be the one to sacrifice because the technology has to work.
So walk me forward. What is the benefit of getting involved early in things like kiosks and pickup and Web3? Because you got in early, what benefits do you see?
I'll give you a long answer and a short answer. Short answer is, what's the benefit? I get to be a guest on your podcast.
I'm not sure that's a huge benefit, by the way.
You picked me. That's why. But look, we did self-ordering kiosks in 2010. In 2010, there were bank machines, there were movie theaters, and there were airports. No one else had self-ordering kiosks. I mean, now you go to McDonald's, right? I mean, as soon as McDonald's has it, everybody has it. Self-checkout at the grocery store. None of this crap existed in 2010. I don't think any of it existed in 2015, maybe.
Hey, I will say my one aside. I've said this ad nauseum. We were in Japan like 4 months ago, and I walked into a pepper lunch because Troy asked me to go check out a pepper lunch. And for the first time, went up to a kiosk and I hit English, and it was like, oh my gosh, I can actually order what I want. It was life-changing to me. Totally flipped my whole perspective on kiosks.
Yeah, we actually, I think at one point we had multi-language in 2012. I think because we had so many people from China who were checking us out that we had Chinese on our kiosk.
It makes total sense.
Right? But look, what's the advantage to it? In 2010, we had labor savings and we had higher check average. When I put the machines in 2010, overnight, our check average grew $1.49 a person, $1.49 a freaking check. And we were able to lose an entire cash register.
Yeah, but that's picking up the economic benefits sooner than other brands, right?
Okay.
Is there an actual benefit to being the first one?
Well, the benefit to being the first one is, I think I beat you over the head about this, is if you get in with the right partner, you can give feedback to them. So when here, I'll give you an example. When we did the self-ordering kiosks in 2010, we were the ones who came up with the add-on sale, the suggested selling, right? It started.
Did you really?
But I'm not saying I came up with it for every kiosk in the world, but the company we were working with were like, it would be great if when you're done with this, it asked me if I wanted a drink.
Yeah. No, I mean, seriously, right? You see it everywhere now. It's ubiquitous.
Then the thing that we did was we also worked on the combo forwards and backwards. So I'm going to use McDonald's language because everyone speaks McDonald's. It would start with, you ordered a burger. It asked you if you wanted French fries, and then it asked you if you wanted a drink, right? That was the order it did. We also went the other way. If you ordered the French fries first, then it asked you if you wanted a burger. So we made the combos, every combo that we offer on our menu could start with any one of the three items and would get you back to the combo. You didn't have to start at A to get to B to C. You could start at D and still go C to B.
And that's not an insight, I imagine, that a technology company is coming up with. That's a restaurant upselling. How could we get the customer?
I think so. I mean, that's what it was. We created the upsell for it. We created they had memory, right? Where on your credit card, you could walk up to it and type in your email, which I don't know why anyone would ever type an email on a kiosk, because stand there for days, right? To get your receipt. But if you typed in your email or use the same credit card, it remembered your order. So you just walk up, swipe your credit card, push the order, boom, you're out. We had it down from starting your order to picking up your food was 54 seconds.
Wow. I can't enter my email in 54 seconds.
Right? I mean, that's how we had it going. But we then went to them and said, it'd be really great if we could do biometrics. Like, could you walk up to it and just recognize you? And actually, we put it in. We had that face scan. Unbeknownst to us, is you're not allowed to do biometrics in Illinois. We're one of 4 states that you can't do biometrics, so we had to turn it off. But we had a lot of input on what to do. We also added loyalty. We added gift cards. We pushed these guys like, go figure this stuff out.
I got to imagine you got to find the right partners though. Like that doesn't work if you're working with like Oracle or some gigantic firm. I mean, how do you find the right partners that want to innovate with you?
If you went and walked up to Toast tomorrow, right? And you're a 5 unit, 10 unit, even 50 unit group, they're not listening to you. This is what we offer, right? Maybe if you're McDonald's, Chipotle, right? Firehouse Subs, you can go to them and say, I'm going to give you 1,000 locations, but I need it to do XYZ. Maybe it'll help you. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But all of these companies started at some point. And I'm sure when they were starting out, they were looking for people who were willing to turn them on. Here's one. I'll give you a great one. You're going to love this. We worked with a company in 2000 and I think it was 2010 also. It was called MocaPay, MoCapay, MocaPay. And what happened was I would meet people on the street. They never heard of Wow Bao. And MocaPay started as a SMS thing where I could send you a text to do. Well, what happened was in 2010, again, not a lot of people were doing SMS. What we found is I would send you, you'd sign up for SMS and you would get a code saying, hey, come in tomorrow and you can get a free, again, using McDonald's language, Big Mac. Well, the problem was you would screenshot that and send it to everyone you know, and everyone come in tomorrow and get a free Big Mac. I don't care, but my database wasn't growing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what MocaPay created, they created a one-time code. So if you got the code and you sent it to all your friends, whichever friend came first, he or she got it and everyone else didn't get it. So overnight, my database grew because it was a one-time code. You follow me?
Yeah.
Okay. I went back to him and I said, I have a challenge for you. I said, I meet people every day on the street. They never heard of Wow Bao. And so you do this one-time code. I think it'd be really great if I could meet people on the street and send them money to their phone. Like I could send them $25 in Wow Bao credits to their phone, and it becomes a debit card, in quotes, where every time they come to the register, you zap their code. And
like an e-gift card.
And it's declining him and declining balance. I go, wouldn't it be great? Your kid goes off to college, and instead of giving him $100 a month and he's drinking it all the way on beer, but he can only use it at Wow Bao, and now he's eating. Like, let's think forward for this. So MocaPay created it. So I would walk around and meet people on the street and say, oh, here's $25. Send it to your phone immediately. It's $25. Venmo.
Yeah, exactly.
In 2010, man, we were doing Venmo in 2010. They went bankrupt too.
Yeah. You seem to have that effect on companies. But no, I think that's what's so interesting, right? The guys that go work with the earliest stage companies, you're going to be doing the most innovative things. You're going to be figuring this stuff out. You're also taking a little bit of the risk. And I think what makes it so interesting on the delivery side was that you basically got to go test, find out whether it was going to work, right? Saw the effects. And that way, when you can chew through two companies that don't make it, you move to the third, you're really well educated on exactly what it is that you need to make this work in your restaurant.
Yes, exactly. Like I know, look, if we go back to the AI example and I want to use it for production or whatever, I know what I need the AI to do. Now I know I needed to do this. You as the partner creating the AI are going to say, well, why don't you think bigger and get there? I go, I'm not there yet, but I like what you're thinking. Get me here, get the roadmap going for here. Oh, and by the way, I'm probably going to come up with this over here that you're going to have to do to bridge the gap to where you want to be versus where I am. And if you are willing to work with me on that, let's go into business together. I'll go prototype it for you. I'll give you feedback. And by the way, I'll go on to, Matt's podcast and talk about how great your company is. And I'll go on the circuit and talk about how great your company is. And that's my give back to you for giving me all the advantages and upgrades I need out of your system.
So when you're looking across the table and talking to these early companies, is that what you're thinking? Is it, where are you guys going with this? What is your vision? And does it kind of match where I'd like the vision to go and I'll come along the ride with you? Or is it more, hey, you've got this one part that I do really want, and I think we'll be able to build off that over time?
No, I never look at the one part because you got to evolve. And by the way, they're going to evolve, right? And if they come at you and say, all we're going to do is this. If that MocaPay group only did SMS forever, and that's all they were going to do in a box, I was going to outgrow them really fast. But I challenged them and they created this whole other system that became this great thing for us, right? Otherwise, if they were just going to do SMS and that's all they're going to do, I could have used anybody. There's 100 companies out there. Maybe there were only 3 back then in 2010, right? But you need to know, where is that company looking to go? Are you going to go along on that ride? And by the way, how flexible are they on also going over here?
So, Geoff, I want to get back to how you transformed the brand from being a brick and mortar, straight up fast casual QSR to this CPG. We've got airports, we've got hot vending machines. Did you have a mission statement early on that, held true? Was this something that evolved over time? Like, what has guided you to make the right over time?
It's not having had access to capital. Right? So in 2017, we got private equity. So pre-2017, 2009 to 2017, I got us into sports stadiums. I got us into airports, college campuses, because all that was us growing the brand, growing the name, growing the food, growing.
But it can't be that simple. It can't just be I was desperate for revenue. So like anybody that would sell my product, I'd do it. I have to imagine.
Selling my product, they do it. They had to do it to my specification. They had to have it branded, right? I mean, I was growing a brand. I wasn't growing a product. There's a big difference there, right? In those years. Now I'm growing more of a product. But back then I was growing more of a brand. And it was very much about, how can I grow my brand? Look, Let Us Entertain You is a 54-year-old restaurant group, right? In a really good year, maybe we'll open 4 restaurants. Maybe. Okay.
Well, you're opening like 4 brands, by the way. I mean, Let Us Entertain You,
they're like,
I mean,
thank you.
That's a different
but it's 4 restaurants, right? Could be all different brands, right? Okay. There's 72 partners in Lettuce. We open up 4 locations a year. There's not a lot of capital. And Rich doesn't like to go and do what he already does. He likes to go create something new. So I remember in 2014, I opened up a new location. And in 2012 and 2014, I each opened a location each of those years, right? So from 2009, when I took it over, to 2014, which is 5 years, I opened 2 restaurants. Can you name a fast casual or QSR brand that is a recognized, successful brand that only opened 2 locations in 6 years? No, of course not. But that is an incredible honor and Let Us Entertain You to be able to open 2 restaurants in 6 years. Like, that's what you have to understand. That's right. We're limited access to funds, 72 partners, 60 different brands, right? So when I say access to capital, like, I had no other way to grow. I had a team. I wanted more. And by the way, the sucker who got me into this said I was going to open 1,000 in a number of years. Like, I'm going to be dead before we hit 50. Right? So yeah, I had to go and find these other ways to do it. In the grocery business, we got into grocery in 2012. We had freezers in our restaurants selling our product already for people to take home. And I literally took it out of that freezer and walked to my local grocery store and said, will you please sell this on your shelf? And I got us to like 30 grocery stores. And then in 2018, I got us to like 350. And then it was a side hustle. Like, it was just out there. Like, we're at 300 grocery stores are selling a product in Chicago. Like, no one thought about it. No one gave a damn. Fast forward, when we started through COVID working with our delivery only partners, Walmart wanted to grow their delivery business, Walmart.com, and they were going to sell their Walmart products. And on the way, they would stop at grocery restaurants and pick up food and deliver to your house. And they were doing it as a way to try to grow Walmart.com. And I met the guy who was in charge of activating that aspect of the business. And he helped us get introduced to one of the frozen buyers for grocery. And that's how we got into Walmart. I mean, we pitched them. It wasn't a done deal. We had to go pitch them. We had to win it and all. In 2023, we got 1,500 Walmarts. 3 weeks before launch, they called us up and said, we're going to give you 3,100 Walmarts. Like we had like the greatest news in the world. And it was like, holy cow, we got to make more product. Right. And then we're like, okay, we have a CPG now. Let's go and pitch it to more.
But that's the catch-22, right? I remember listening to you give a talk at the Prosper Forum about blockchain and Web3, right? And, doing low-cost experiments to see whether or not that vertical is going to work. And it sounds great and all, the CPG going into delivery, we're going to try airports, but they still cost money. They cost time and effort, right? And if you're capital constrained, you can only make so many of those bets, I imagine. So like it's not free to go do. Like, how do you choose which bets to go after?
Look, the first thing is you have to believe in what you're doing. Oh, by the way, so let's back up. I did not in 1 year do airports, college campuses, sports stadiums, hot food vending machines, CPG, and blockchain, and NFTs, and the online.
Yeah, but you're doing like one a year.
1 year, right? I mean, let's think about it, right? You have to find opportunities come and opportunities go, and you either grab the opportunity or you don't grab the opportunity. Like, and if the right opportunity comes and you think that's the right opportunity, you got to go and do it. This is where people make a mistake. Every one of these verticals that we're involved in, these are each businesses. None of them are a side hustle. And if you're going to treat a simple, like just delivery, third-party delivery as a side hustle, you're going to screw up your third-party delivery. If you're going to go and get into the airport business and treat that as a side hustle, it's going to be bad. Every one of these has to have attention. And we were a very small team. It was like 4 of us who were doing all this. And then once the private equity got involved, we were able to grow our team. And now we're at a place where, I have somebody who runs my airport business and my college campus, but I call it non-traditional. Somebody runs that. Somebody runs brick and mortar. Somebody runs CPG. Somebody runs the hot food vending, right? Somebody's got their eye on each of these things. I oversee all of it, but somebody's actually in charge of growing that business. And that's how you get to scale then, if you treat it like it's important and you care. If you don't care, everyone knows you don't care. No one's going to care about it.
So I've got like 2 contradictory feelings listening to you talk. One of them is open-mindedness. I'm walking into conversations with companies with an open mind. How could this work for my business? Is this a place that we want to play? I'm not going in with this preconceived notion of this is exactly what I want you to do. Do you check all the boxes? And then the other side of it is, don't treat it as a one-off experiment. Is this a vertical? Is this a business that we're going to treat as a business? And that almost seems premeditated. We want to do A, B, and C. Do you lean to either of those? Are they contradictory?
Well, I mean, you got to think about what you're talking about, right? If putting in self-ordering kiosks, I don't think it's a business, right? I think it's a business decision, right?
Hot vending machines.
Okay, so that is something I always believed in. I actually started chasing hot food vending machines in 2015. And I found an unbelievable company that could do it. I worked with them on and off through like 2017, 2018.
2 or 3 years.
They ran out of money. We never launched with them. I followed them. I was paying attention. They ended up closing. They couldn't fund it. And then we found this other group that we're working with, and it's been a good ride so far. But that is, that's getting culinary involved because you got to test the food and make sure it's going to work. That's getting supply chain involved because you got to get the food out to the machines, right, across the country. That's getting somebody who's going to be managing the relationship to make sure that the branding, the items are in stock and so on. I mean, it becomes something, but you don't go tomorrow to 500 vending machines, right? We got into like 2 and got learnings, right? And then we're like, we want to be involved in this. This is something because eventually,
that's premeditated. We're a fit for this, right? We've been looking for it. The technology finally arrived.
There's no vertical that we're involved in that we haven't planned for at some point in our career, right? I was doing grocery back in 2012. It's just, we were in 30 stores. Now we're in 15,000. I mean, that's growth, right? Unbelievable growth, but it's growth. It's not like tomorrow, all of a sudden I'm doing X. I mean, everything I've been chasing airlines and cruise ships and the military. I've been chasing the military for like 7 years, right? Because nothing happens the next day, but you have to be ready for it to happen. And you have to plant seeds to get where you're trying to go to. I met a guy in 2022 that I wanted to do business with. And I chased this guy for 3 years, 2 years. That would have been 2024. And I finally gave up. And he emailed me 4 weeks ago. He's like, I think we're ready. And I'm like, woohoo! And I'm ready because we built enough process behind the scenes and turned on enough things that turning this person on will be easy. But nothing happens tomorrow. Nothing.
I sit here and I think, okay, Geoff comes from Let Us Entertain You, right? He's seen a lot of different restaurant brands. You go out and you kind of, in some ways, redefine what modern day QSR, fast casual brands are in some ways, right? Omnichannel, CPG, you're seeing it more and more. Do you view that as a playbook for other brands on how you can do it? Or is it really, this is what my brand is, and it lends itself to all of these verticals, and everyone's going to have to go figure out their own path that's right for them?
I think it's a middle of both those points, right? It's not one or the other. So in 2015, maybe, a restaurant opened up in San Francisco called Eatsa, EATSA. Fully automated restaurant, no people in the whole place working there. You order off of kiosk or off your phone. Food got delivered in personalized cubbies. And I read about this and I heard about it. And I don't know, within like 7 days or 20 days of open, I was on a plane to San Francisco. I'm like, I got to see this thing. Literally flew there, went to the restaurant, sat in the middle of the restaurant for 4 hours, just watched it, flew back from San Francisco. Thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And I was like, this is the future of Wow Bao. We have to do this. Fast forward 2017, private equity gets involved with us. Turns out our private equity is involved with them. And then we go open 3 of these restaurants in Chicago, fully automated, no people working there. The cubbies, the personalized, the animation. I mean, it was fantastic. So anybody can have an idea. When we came up with the self-ordering kiosk in 2010, we were voting for president, right? And I waited forever to get in line to go and do my ballot. And it took me an hour to get in the room. And then they said, it'll be 45 minutes till you can use the ballot, or there's a machine that no one's using. And I'm on the machine voting for president and judges and whatever. And I'm like, we should use this in the restaurant. And that's how we did it. So anybody can have those aha moments. You have to go out there with an open mind. You have to go out there and recognize that you don't have all the answers. You have to go out there and recognize that other people are doing it better than you. Also, people are doing it worse than you. They have the right answer. They're just not performing it right. So how can you take that answer and do it better? I don't think I came up with a single answer that no one's ever thought of before, right? Any technology I turn on, someone else came up with the technology. I never patented an idea, right? I saw a use case.
And Venmo would have been a good one to patent.
Yeah, but who thought of that one, right? Not me. But I'm saying like, you have to have the open-mindedness of where this idea can go, whatever that idea is.
So what do you see around the industry today and think, this industry is so closed-minded about A and B, and they just need to get over it?
I don't think this industry is closed-minded. I think it's expensive, right? You have so many restaurants that have such scale right now. If you're a 50-unit restaurant and you want to go do X, it's expensive, right? I mean, it's so funny to me. You turn on online ordering, right? Everybody has online ordering right now, right? If I have one restaurant, I have 50 restaurants. It shouldn't be 50x the price of one restaurant. The technology's there, but the technology company charges you the price of 1 times 50. Well, that's difficult to manage. Every store has different economics. Every store has different volumes. What is really the difference from a technology maintaining my one store and maintaining my 50. I mean, is it really 50x to work? No, but you charge me 50x. You want to go change POS on 50 units? That's expensive, right? You want to go put in self-ordering kiosks at 50 units? No one puts in one kiosk. You got to have 2 or 3 per store. Now, the difference is in 2010, you're too young to remember this, but like a 40-inch flat screen.
2010, I was running restaurants. I was back there slinging sandwiches.
A 40-inch flat screen TV was probably like $20,000.
Wow.
Right? You can get a 40-inch flat screen TV now for like $189 at Target. 2010, the stuff was expensive. The stuff's still expensive today because you need it at scale, but it's not as expensive. It's not as clunky, right? Things have all been improved. But the issue that makes our industry dinosaurs compared to travel and retail and so on is costs. Our margins are small. Our training isn't sufficient. And the technology is expensive for us.
So I had this conversation with Josh Halpern when we were at the QSR Summit, and he basically was saying that, look, technology is going to get built out for other verticals, right, at their cost. And we can take it then because, frankly, we as a low margin business can't afford to do it today. And it kind of brought me back to this conversation we have a lot with product, right? You can have 2 of 3 things. You can have it fast, you can have it cheap, or you can have it good. Choose 2, right? You want it, good and fast. It's not going to be cheap.
Let's call it inexpensive, not cheap.
Inexpensive, exactly. Well, in this case, cheap might be the right word for it. But I think that the thing that you do differently than a lot of other companies is willing to take the time. Because if I want it cheap and I want it good, I'm not going to get it fast. And I know it's going to mean that I need to work with that brand. And I do wonder whether or not restaurant brands in their quest for, I want it fast, cheap, and good, I'll just wait until it's built for somebody else. They end up with, software that really wasn't built for their brand altogether.
Yeah, but look, so let's pretend you came to me that you want me to turn on whatever technology you came up with, you want me to put in all my restaurants, right? When I say my restaurants, that's a quote because I have 2 brick and mortar, right? But you come to me and you said,
you're going to be like, I want to charge by the brick and mortar location. Right. And then you just need to service the entire organization.
People call me all the time because I have 350 delivery kitchens around the country. They think I'm I'm like, I don't run their tech stack. Like, it's not up to me. I can make the recommendation, but it's not going to happen. All right. Here's what I say to you. I say, here's what's going to happen. Here's what I'm willing to take on. Meaning, here's what the headaches I'm willing to incur. You're telling me it's going to do this. Is it really going to do this? I'll take on this headache because I need it to do, but here's what I need from you. I'm going to give you feedback. I need you to respond to the feedback. I need you to work fast. And I need you to, as you grow, you have to include me. And in return for doing that, I'm going to go on the circuit this year. I'm going to 7 different conferences I'm going to speak at. I'm going to tell everyone how great your product is. I'm going to go on X amount of podcasts this year. I'm going to talk about your product. I'm going to give you so much airtime and I'm going to send you so much business and referrals that you can't make me look bad. You can't not deliver. You can't.
So why do you do that? Why do you want to do that? Like, give me the walkthrough of the thought process.
Why am I doing that for you?
No, for any brand,
that's
right? Why do you have that?
The technology brand? Because in return, I'm going to be treated the way I should be treated, meaning that you're going to respond to me. You're going to make sure it's working. Look, I'm not a partner with any technology group, right? To me, partnership is your equals. Every technology company owns me, right? I'm at their mercy. But there are certain people, certain CEOs of companies who I got involved with in a very early stage, who to this day, now they're large, I can pick up the phone and either they themselves will dial in and fix the problem, or they will stop everyone in their organization and fix the problem for me because I've gone out there and supported them to do it. And I want to be partners. I look at all the stuff as we have to be partners. And I use the word partner, meaning that we're in this together. And the reason why I say I'm not really partners, because partnership means something when you're really a partner of somebody, right? But I look at this as partnerships. I'm trying to make you better. I need you to be better. You need me to be successful, and you need me to be better. So let's work together to get there and not make it one-sided where you're just going to like sell me something and then I'm stuck with it.
So we were at a show and I was on stage doing like the MC thing, and they told me I needed to get everyone to go into, talk with the vendors. And I basically said, like, look, guys, you've heard a lot of people say, how these companies changed their lives and how this is, from guest, experience management, loyalty, so on and so forth. All of those companies are literally in the other room dying to speak with you, dying to make things work. The flip side of what you're saying is when you go get involved in those companies, they make better decisions and better roadmaps to help restaurants as a result. Like, it's not just for you, it helps the entire industry when operators get involved in the technology and give that feedback.
Yeah. But with that, at those conferences, the people who you need to have that conversation with to be the give and take, they're not always in those rooms. And that's a problem at the conferences, right? Like, I don't generally deal with salespeople, right? I mean, look, if I'm going to turn on R365, who we're partners with, or Toast, who we're partners with, right? And they're great partners. I'm not dealing with the CEOs. I know the CEOs and I can pick up the phone and call them, but I'm not dealing with them. They're big companies, right? These startup technology companies who should be able to look, most startups have an idea and they're doing this. And by the time they get to scale, they're more over here. They still have the essence of who they were, but they're not just doing this. They had to evolve. They had to answer questions. They had to take on more, whatever it may be. I like to help them get over here. And by getting over here, by me having the voice to help them get over here, somebody else's voice might have got them over here. And I don't need this. I needed this. And that's why I get involved with these startups or these earlier technology ideas, because you can get more out of them. And by the way, not to be an ass here or sound like I'm an asshole, but I think I have pretty good feedback. And I think the needs that I see can turn around and help that company get a lot more customers and a lot more people using that technology because of the feedback I give. And we're putting it in the real world. Like, we're putting it in the wild. Like, I am going to go put this, turn it on tomorrow. Like, let's go. I will give you feedback in the next 6 minutes on how this is going.
So let's talk about where things are going. I look at, from a macro perspective, AI being one of the largest, macro shifts in technology for not just now, but the next decade. I know it's something that you guys have been investigating, but haven't necessarily gotten into. I'd like to kind of hear just your mental framing of how you look at the subject and think, for my brand, how could I leverage it? What would be the next steps? How do I think about this?
So here's what's really interesting. I'm not going to talk about my brand, but I'm going to talk about full service restaurants for a second. Okay. So for years, we grew up calling restaurants when we wanted to make a reservation. Then Open Table came along and you went online to make the reservation. But now you're running late for the reservation and you would call the restaurant. Okay. Today, you can't call a restaurant. It doesn't exist. You call the restaurant, they're like, go online and make the reservation. And you'll hit, if you want to make a reservation, press 1. You press 1, it says, to make a reservation, go online. And like, I'm stuck in traffic. I need you to know I'm on my way. You cannot get a person on the phone. It is the most incredibly frustrating thing and the worst piece of hospitality that is out there, that we have actually removed the ability to talk to a person. I believe AI can bridge that gap, because if you're disconnecting the phone because either you don't want to pay the phone bill or you don't have someone who can maintain the phones because your hostess is down, whatever, there's AI out now that allows you to, that you think you're talking to a person, right? When you're making reservations or you're doing them, the AI's answering the phone. Like, those restaurants that have turned off the phone need to turn on the AI answering machine. They got to do it.
And so that's a good example of here's a touch point we're failing at right now, right? We're hurting hospitality by not being able to address this touch point. Let's bring in technology to help address it. I'm also kind of curious, when you look at it, do you start to think this is where technology will be in 5 or 10 years? We should position our brand to be a benefit, a net benefit of that technology? Or do you just kind of wait for the technology to evolve and look for the opportunities to leverage it?
The day that we put self-ordering kiosks in, okay, we had 2 machines with the packaging being ripped off in front of our restaurant. I always put them out in front of the restaurant so it didn't impact the line, and that way you grab people's attention when they're walking by, right?
Yeah.
The technician was lying on the ground on their back, hands up, connecting cables. Okay, the machine is off, right? And this guy's connecting cables, and this 65-year-old woman, give or take, walked up to the machine and started using it. Now, she didn't use it because it was turned off, obviously, right? But I was like, we made the right call.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. AI today has not been adopted outside of the technology people or the very, very big Fortune 100. It is not an everyday thing. So is it going to be an everyday thing? Absolutely. Is it an everyday thing for, the juniors and seniors in high school right now who are using it to do their homework? Yes. But they're using it in a very narrow silo. They're not seeing the capabilities of what it could be. They're seeing it as I can use it for this. So for us as a brand and to bring in AI right now, customer facing, I think it's a little early. The difference I had with those kiosks in 2010 when I gave you that the analogy is people were using them for movie tickets, bank machines, and airlines, like I said. So there was this already, I understand using the machine. Depending on what the AI is, your employees or your upper management, you need a younger demographic in your business to understand AI, to use it correctly. If I turned on AI tomorrow, I am not the AI demographic of my consumer who would be using AI. So I'm either going to misuse it or I'm not going to use it to the right capability. If I go out and hire a 23 or 26-year-old person who understands AI, they're going to use it better for my business. But again, it's only going to work for that demographic of people.
Maybe, I think we get a little biased by like social media where, the younger generation were all on TikTok. So they understood TikTok, right? Like they have a different perspective than we do.
They use TikTok differently. When my generation gets on TikTok, that generation turns off TikTok. They don't want to see me doing some dance or
I'd like to see you doing some dance. Have you done a TikTok dance? Because I'd like to see it.
They don't. I mean, look, I was at a trade show, and oh God, I'm telling you the story. I don't remember her name. The sister of Charlie DeMille, what's her name? The famous you don't know. She's like the first girl to ever do TikTok. She's got 500 million followers on TikTok. Charlie D. Her sister was at the conference, right? So everybody's taking selfies. And I'm wearing the Wow Bao gear with the Wow Bao food. And my team is like, you need to go get a picture with her so we can go viral. I'm like, we're not going to go viral. And she doesn't want to take a picture with me. Lovely woman, couldn't have been nicer, took the picture with me. But nobody wants to see me in this picture with her. So yes, I agree with what you're saying, this thing about all the TikTokers and this, that, but that age uses TikTok differently than this age uses TikTok.
Well, really where I was going with it is if you grew up with the technology, you have a different perspective on it, but nobody grew up with AI. When the large language models and ChatGPT came out, we all kind of got it at the same time. And it was only a couple of years ago, right? So
you're going back to why the restaurant industry is slow to use technology. And I kept saying it was dollars, dollars, dollars. It's also demographic.
Yeah.
A lot of mom and pops out there or third, fourth generation restaurants are still using handwritten freaking chits in the kitchen, right? Are still using a non-computer POS, right? I mean, like, don't focus on, the Chipotles of the world. There are a lot more non-Chipotle restaurants than there are Chipotles.
Well, I think a lot of restaurants The people that own them are people. That's why they got into the business, the hospitality side of things. And, they literally, that is their self-worth. That is who they are as a person, is that restaurant. I know my favorite restaurant locally, Collegeville Italian Bakery. I talked with the owner, and literally she was going through, they're one of those, they make everything in-house. 4 or 5 page prep list that they do every day. And it's small lines. I'm like, look, I will do this for you for free. Like, I love you guys. I just want to support it. She's like, no, I love doing it. This is like I get to do it every morning. Like, I look forward to it. I have my coffee. I go through it line by line. It's like, some people just aren't going to change. And that is partially demographics, just partially the industry.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And that's why I'm saying, if you look, I'm not saying she was thinking this or not, but in the example you gave, there's also probably a little bit of fear, right? Like, I trust myself to do this handwritten, and I know my consumer. If I put this into a computer, am I going to run out of product? Am I going to have too much? There's a fear level of it. And when we talk about AI in its infancy right now, and no disrespect to anybody, it's going to still be an infant for another 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just going to
or it'll be AGI and it'll take over the world. We'll find out.
But
stay tuned.
It's not going to take over restaurants. It's going to take over the DOD. It's going to take over the government, right? It's not coming from restaurants first. Right? It's not going to show up in our restaurants in the first place. We're going to be later to the marketplace for it.
So, kind of wrapping this up, what's the future of Wow Bao? Like, you guys have gone hard into the CPG world. You're doing Web3. It sounds like you're opening a new factory in North Carolina. What is the future of Wow Bao?
When you ask that question, my initial thought means whatever answer I give you, like, that's the ending. Like, oh, we're trying to get here, and when that's our future to get there. Like, our future is limitless. We actually have in our mission statement that we redid about creating moments of boundless opportunity, right? And that's boundless opportunity for employees, for consumers, for the brand itself. You mentioned we're opening a facility in North Carolina. We're about to become our own manufacturer of our product. We will become the largest bao manufacturer in America when we open that facility. So that's going to give us a lot more opportunity to have new products, new flavors, new offerings, grow the supply chain, be able to get the product into more places on both a national and international scale. So where is it going? I can't wait to see where it goes.
What's it say about the future of fast casual QSR that a guy that came up in full service restaurants gets involved and moves to selling things via CPG and in grocery stores and, doesn't open 1,000 units? Because we're seeing it, whether it's Cinnabon or any of these other brands that are now doing, packaged goods. What's it say about the industry that that's the path you chose to go down?
I don't know if it says anything about the industry, but I think that there's a number of people in leadership roles in the industry who didn't come from food and did not come up through the ranks. And the two most important things for any leader of the restaurant industry is, one, surround yourself with people who do understand the industry. And number two is just keep serving great food. And if I throw a number 3 in there, is don't forget the roots of hospitality. I mean, that is to me, the biggest opportunity in the industry right now is to bring back hospitality. We have gone so far on the technological side of it that we have lost the hospitality side of it. And there needs to be a shift back to hospitality, and there needs to be a movement in how technology can enhance hospitality. We have just created technology to support business, technology to grow business, technology to create savings. We've not created technology to create hospitality or enhanced hospitality. And that's been the biggest miss. I take that back. When we started using the self-ordering kiosks, which I would say has an argument that we enhanced hospitality because we made it faster. We created your order was guaranteed to be right. We put the power of control into your hands. It allowed us to have more interaction with you at the pickup window, right? We made it not so transactional at the register and not so transactional at the pickup window because you ordered off of that. We were able to converse now because your time was was given back to you to get it. We have to find ways to create technology that allows for hospitality. If it makes it easier on the employee, don't cut the employee and save payroll and give more work to somebody else. Keep the employee and use that employee for more hospitality. Or with the AI, make it so if it's going to be either AI, announce to the consumer that, hey, you're talking to AI so they know it, so they don't get fooled in it later, or create the AI to be so hospitable that you don't want to hang up the phone or stop utilizing it, right? You want to feel taken care of. I don't think we're doing enough for the consumer. And PS, all of this technology has got to help the employee at the end of the day. If it's not helping the employee and the consumer, you're doing the wrong technology. It can't be one or the other. You can't forget that the employee is a consumer of that technology.
Okay, last few rapid fire questions.
Oh,
What are the keys to success for CPG?
velocity. You got to sell the product. I heard this great quote. Shelf space is rent. Velocity is how you pay the rent. You got to figure out how to move the product off the shelf.
How do you ensure quality in the CPG space and not have it, have it strengthen the brand and not weaken the brand?
Well, for us, we're very fortunate because it's the same product we're selling in both places, right? It's education on the distributor how to handle your product to get it to the retailer. Then it's education on the retailer how to store and market your product so the consumer is buying the best product they can. Then it's education on the consumer how they should utilize your product. And I don't mean just cooking it. What time of day should they be eating it? What is it? Is it a side item or is it an entree? What should it be paired with, right? Who should be enjoying it and when?
How do you know when to pull the plug on an experiment or an idea that you have that just may not be working?
I don't pull the plug on anything. I think you take the learnings from whatever it is you're doing and how do you enhance and go back and try again, right? Look, it's interesting. I'm a sports fan. So for those of you who aren't sports fans, listen to this. My apologies for using the analogy. I don't know the behind the scenes of what went on in New York for the New York Knicks. Okay. Tom Thibodeau, coach of the New York Knicks for 3 or 5 years, whatever it's been, took them from one game away from going to the NBA Finals this year. Lost a game, he got fired. I don't know what went on behind the scenes. I don't know what kind of a person he was. I don't know what the interaction with the players. I don't know what the interaction with the front office. So putting all that aside, the guy took him to seconds away from going to the NBA Finals and lost his job. I would think that he, the coach, got enough learnings in that final seconds to do a great job for next season. He isn't getting the opportunity, and they're going to start over now with a new coach, with new ideas, with whatever it may be, which will probably not let the Knicks get that far ahead next year in the season. So if you have a product that's not moving, I go back to first principles. What's missing with the product? Was it your naming? Was it the way you served it? Was it the taste? What did you do wrong in identifying it? And then rework it. If you believe in it. If you don't believe in the item, then yeah, kill it, move on from it. But if you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever actually tasted in the concept and it's not moving, let's figure out why it's not moving and rework it and keep it going.
Last question. For all those people that are turning a restaurant around right now, what is the one piece of advice that you could give them?
The old adage about, fail fast, try something and move on to the next thing, right? You need to go with what it is you think you need to be doing and stay that course. But stay in that course means you're going to try things out and take the learnings of your experiments and improve upon them, but stay on the course. You can't do everything. You can't turn on, I know some of this is dated and it's easy, but you can't turn on online ordering, airport locations, college campuses, mobile ordering, CPG, delivery. You can't do everything tomorrow. What's your goal for the day? Wake up this morning focused on that goal, revisit that goal 6 or 7 times, When you go home tonight, call back to the restaurant and check on how that goal is performing. And when you get in tomorrow morning, how did that goal perform? Now, what's the goal for this morning? And when you focus on that new goal tomorrow, don't forget the goal for yesterday and check on both of those goals. And so on and so forth. You know where your end is, right? You know you're going around that Monopoly board and you don't want to end up in jail and you don't want to pay somebody rent. But you also want to make
go and get my $200.
That's what you want to do. And you want to make purchases that are smart to win the game. Stay on the path, go around the board and make the right decisions. And if you make the wrong decision, react from it.
Well, Geoff, it was a real honor having you on. I appreciate you taking the time.